Hello, welcome back. This is James Sorrell from HourLot Rostering and Time and Attendance. What we're going to be looking at in the next tutorial is this. We're going to be looking at the navigation and the menu, the functionalities, what HourLot Rostering is capable of doing. In previous tutorial, we've talked about shift schedule, we've talked about creating a rolling roster, we've talked about emailing roster to staff, how we can view reports and manage roster data. So this tutorial is basically to go over every of the navigation we have at the top menu here. So what I mean by navigation is everything at the top here is the navigation, what this roster can do. The first thing we have is we have the department name. So this is the roster that we are accessing, and we have the navigation to change the month. So if I go, I'll change to September and back to August. Then we have weeks, so we can always ensure that we are on the right week, and we can always confirm the dates. Once we click the week, the date is going to show. Then we have the making rolling roster. So once we click this button, the rolling roster will be taken automatically into the week that is after this week, so, and also for the month as well. In this session, we have the dashboard for the administrator, so we can always come here, and this is where we can also check which of the year and which of the rota we have. So we have January to December, and we can always drill down to the ones we want. So November, for example, we come here to November. So we can always use this to send a suggestion as well, or a request, and we can always receive this information. So if you need any specific feature that you would like to have specifically for your own user, then we can arrange that as well. That might come at an additional cost to your to the monthly or the yearly fee. The yearly fee and the monthly fee covers everything as we've offered right now, but any other feature and functionality that does not come as an update, then it could be charged, and an invoice could be raised. So I'll be very wary and cautious for me to send a functionality, and we can always send it as other suggestion or feature, and we can see if this can be rolled across every company that use our system. So the next one we talked about previously was how to email the rota to staff, and we have this information here. We can always select that. So that is what this navigation button does. And the manage roster data, in the last video we talked about the shift allocation and the shift type as well. So we can always update and delete if we don't want. The next one is the report, and we can always drill down to the report we have. So we can run this query, and it will show us, there's we can just like select the year, for example. So so we're still working on this query probably, so we don't have that for now, and we can run another query. Actually, we can say a list of weekend shift by staff. So we have here, so this one shows list of weekend shift by staff. So we see this staff doing the shift at this particular weekend: Saturday, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, 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 Saturday. So this only shows Saturday's shift. And we can also view some settings. In the next tutorial, we're going to look at this in detail. the settings that we mean here is that in every care service, sometimes you have like a night shift, which is also called a waking night. So if you need to have a maximum limit of the number of waking nights you can have per day, you can set it here so that when you're trying to schedule shift, you cannot go more than this limit here. This one talks about the maximum number of sleeping per day as well, and this talks about maximum number of day shift per day. So if you want to restrict how many staff that your manager can book for a particular shift, then the manager can set it here as well, and which is number of late shift and total number of annual leave allowed per day. So everybody cannot go on annual leave at the same time, so we have to have rules of how many people can go on annual leave per day. Now, this session talks about the working time regulation, and we're going to be going over this video specifically for working time regulation session, how we can enforce maximum hours per week to be worked. So if the law says 48 hours maximum, that is what the employer can ask you to do. Apart from your contracted hours is 38 hours, but your employer can ask you to do more than 38 hours. However, it is still down to you whether you want to do the overtime to increase it to 48 hours or not. But if your staff want to work more than 48 hours, then you can decide to say, okay, well, you can do more than 48 hours, but we are setting this as 48 hours as maximum. And during the shift scheduling in next tutorials that you're going to see, you can see how this can be override by manager as well if they choose to override it. We can say total number of hours per week, per shift. So you don't want your staff to be doing too many long shifts, meaning starting at early, sometimes at 7 o'clock and finish at 10 o'clock. You don't want them doing that, because if you're caring for vulnerable people, you want your staff to be well as well. You want their mental health to be okay, and health and safety is something that is very important, and you want to ensure that they have adequate rest and they are not feeling tired, because if they are feeling tired, they could make mistakes, they could overdose somebody, they could abuse somebody, and they could do something that they would not normally do if they are not very tired. So it's always a good practice to have the total number of hours per shift. So sometimes you might set this to 12, sometimes you might set this to 10, or sometimes you might just set it to normal 8 hours, and that is it. Now, another working time regulation which talks about 11 hours break in between shift is you want to ensure that at every shift, staff have 11 hours break before they start the shift. So, for example, on Monday the 30th October, if they are scheduled to finish at 10 o'clock, then the staff should not be starting at 7 a.m. because they wouldn't have 11 hours break in between those two shifts. So you can decide to increase this or you can decide to reduce it. But it will be a bad practice to reduce this because the law says 11 hours, so it's always good to do that. If you increase it, then it shows that you are actually trying to look after your staff more. But of course, sometimes there might be emergency and you might need for staff to work early shift even if they work a late shift, and this can be overridden when you are plotting the rota. The manager can override that condition. Another working time regulation rule is staff must have 1 day off each week. So Monday to Sunday, no matter what, staff cannot be booked on all shifts. They must have at least 1 day off. And what we've done here is we've done it. If that is not possible, if you say staff do not need to have 1 day off, then staff must have 2 consecutive days off in a fortnight. So that means the following week, staff must have 2 days off consecutively. So they must have either Monday, Tuesday off, or Tuesday, Wednesday, or Wednesday, Thursday, or Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, Sunday. So this cannot be changed. This can be changed. So if the policy in your organization state that, well, they might not have one day off, because if there is too much work and you don't want to use an agency staff, or you want to keep your core staff in, then you can say no to this and this will be yes. Or if you want it to be enforced, then you say yes to this and this will not apply anymore. Once that is done, that can be saved, and you know that shift settings have been saved successfully. Once the shift setting has been saved successfully, then that is what apply when the rota is being plotted. So when the manager is scheduling people on shift, all these conditions will be running at the background of the rota in order to inform and to alert the manager if there is any error or anything that needs to be looked into. This is before the staff will actually go in for that shift. So in the next tutorial, we're going to be looking directly into the working time regulation, and we're going to be scheduling some shift to see whether they actually meet these 5 conditions of the maximum hours per week, maximum hours per shift, breaks between shifts, 1 day off each week, or 2 consecutive days in a fortnight. So we're going to be looking at that in our next video tutorial, and I'll see you again. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.